Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Genius Knowledge Point, your go-to place for practical programming solutions for diploma, computer and IT students. If you are stuck on any practical assignment or just want to learn how to solve programs step by step, then you are in the right place. The main purpose of making this video is to provide practical knowledge to all diploma students so that they can develop their own programs which will be helpful for their future. In this video, we are going to see practical number 23 of object-oriented programming for Diploma, Computer and IT, 3rd semester and case skill. So, practical number 23 is write a programs to read and write from or to file using constructor and open function. So, this program is regarding file handling. So, before going to actual questions, we have to understand what is file handling concept. So, why files are needed and how the files are important in your programming. So moving toward the diagram. So if you see, whenever we are developing any program, so till now whatever the programs we are developed, all the programs are having some data or they are accepting some data, and after accepting data they are processing the data and generating output. But the data which is accepted or the output or which is generated is not stored anywhere. So whenever we are running any program, what is happening? We are running that program inside the computer's temporary storage, and after ending the program, what happens? The data inside the program which is accepted or which is generated as output, that is gone. So the data is not storing anywhere. So that is the problem in our programming, that we are developing all the programs till now till up to practical number 22. We have generated many programs, we are accepting the data, we are processing the data, generating output, but the data is not stored anywhere. That data is inside your program only, and when your program ends, your data is gone. It is not available next time. So that is the problem in this programming. But in real world, these programs are not useful, because in real world many applications are generating lots of data, and that data should be saved somewhere, and next time whenever we are loading that application we need that data again. So in this programming the data is not stored till now, so that's why we need something so that we can store data onto permanent storage. So that's why we need file, and dealing with file and program is called file handling. So what is the file? File is a data set having, or it is stored on a permanent storage. If you see, this cylinder is called permanent storage, and that is on your hard disk. So whenever we are generating any file and saving that file onto your hard disk, what happens? That file is storing on permanent storage. So that file is available next time whenever we are running that or we are opening that file again. So this is how the file is helping us to store our data onto permanent storage, and whenever we are storing that data onto permanent storage in form of file, that file is available again next time whenever we are running that program, so that our stored data can be retrieved into program again, and again that can be processed, or we can do further operations on the file data. So this is why file is important in programming. So whenever we are storing some data from program to file, that will be called as write operation, and whenever we are running that program again and we want to take the data from file into program again, that will called read operation. So this is how the file handling will work in programming, and even we are closing the program, the file is storing the data onto permanent storage. That's why our data will be available anytime, and whenever we run that program again, we can retrieve that data from file to program again. So this is why file is very important, and it is providing us permanent storage. So this is the main concept behind file handling. So let us move to the questions. So in this exercise, first question is given as write a program in C++ in which open a file read and write mode and display the content on output screen using function open. So what we have to do, we have to create a C++ program and we have to open a file in read and write mode. So if you see in the diagram, there are two modes for file handling. One is a write mode and second is a read mode. So whenever we are storing data into file, that is called write mode, and whenever we are retrieving data from file to program, it is called read mode. So in this program we have to use both the modes, that is read and write mode. So we can do both the operations simultaneously. We can read as well as write on the file in the same program. So that is called read and write mode. And we have to display the content on output screen, whichever the content is present inside our file, that we have to display on the output screen using function open. So in file handling we have to use the open function in this program. So this is how the program will be, and the structure of the program will be: first we will create a file, then inside that file we have to store something, then we will create our program, and inside our program we will open that file using these two modes, read and write mode, and we will read that data from file into our program, and from program we will print that data onto output screen. So this will be the structure of the program or sequence that we follow in the program. So let us move to the coding part. So initially I have to include the header files which are related to file handling. So first I am including fstream.h. This header file will provide classes that are needed to create a files or to handle file classes. So this is the first header file. Then second, I am including the conio.h, that is console input output. So that will be helpful for getch and other functions. So these are my header files for this program. Then after that I am creating a main function directly. So int main, inside that I am creating fstream class object, that is file. Fstream class provides us the operations which are having read and write operations. So using this class I can use a file, or I can create a file which can be in read mode as well as write mode simultaneously. So this is my class and this is my object. So fstream is the class name and file is the object name that I am creating to access the file. Then as given in the question, I am using open function of this file object. So file.open. So inside open function we have to pass some parameters. So first parameter is a file name. So I am passing abc.txt in double quotes. So this is my file name, and this file name should be, or this file should be present whenever I am running the program, or this file should be present beside my program. Then only it will identify the file and it will read the file and display the content. Then the second parameter is iOS ::in. So this is the scope resolution operator and this is the class. So iOS ::in means I am opening this file in the reading mode. Then OR symbol, single OR, then iOS ::out. So what I am doing here, this is the second parameter. So I am opening this file in the read as well as write mode. So in means read mode and out means write mode. So I am opening this file in the read and write mode as given in the question. So this is the open function, and the first parameter is the file name, second parameter is the mode. So I am combining both the modes using this single horizontal single vertical dash. So this is how the modes can be combined, and this will work in fstream only. So the open function will open this file in this modes. Now the file is opened. Now I am creating a single character because I want to read each character from the file and I want to print that character on the output screen. So char a, this is the character variable that I will be using for that. Then inside while loop I am passing a condition as a file. So this means whatever the file you have opened, if the file is having some data or if the file is having content, that content is present means it will return a true value. So whenever the file is ended, it will return a false value. So this is the while loop, and that will continue and read the data from the file and it will move to the next character. So while file means it will read the characters one by one and it will stop until the characters or the data in the file is ended. This is how the loop will continue. Then inside while loop, what I am doing, file.get. So this is the function which is I am calling on upstream object, that is file object. So file.get will read a character from that file, and that data or that character will be stored into our character variable, that is a. So char a is our character variable that will be storing the characters which are read from file. So after reading this or after this get function, what will happen, this file pointer will move to the next character. That's why we are enclosing it in while loop. So the while loop will continue till the file is having some data or some characters, and as soon as the characters ended, the while loop will turn to false and we will go to the next line. So the character is read and it is stored into a character. Now I am just printing that a character using cout. So what it will do, it will print that character, and again it will repeat the same process till our file is having some data. So this is how we are printing each character one by one on the output screen. First we are reading that character into a variable and we are printing the data inside a variable onto output screen. So this is how the while loop will continue, and after ending the file content, the while loop will turn to false and we will go to the next line. So the next line is file.close. So as we have opened the file using this file name and mode, so finally what we have to do, we have to close that file, because the file will keeps open or the file remains open, you cannot access or another program cannot access that file. So for that purpose we have to free that file, and to free that file we have a function that is file.close. So the close function will close the file, and finally our program is ended. So the getch is there to hold the output screen and return 0 as the main is returning integer type. So I am just selecting entire code, copying the code, going to compiler and pasting the code. So this is the code, but if I run this code directly, what will happen, it will not generate or it will not display any output, because the needed part for this program is abc.txt. We need some file, and in that file we have to enter some data, then only it will display the data which is inside file onto output screen. So for that purpose I am just taking abc.txt, I am just copying this file, then I am going to the location where I want to save this program. So I am just going to my E drive and storing it inside C++ folder. So I am just copying this abc.txt inside my location where I want to save the program, because the file and your program should be in the same folder, then only the file can recognize your program, or the program will read the text file or your file. So this is the text I am entering inside this file, that is this is file named abc.txt. This content will be displayed on screen. Have a great day. So this is simple text I have entered inside this abc.txt, and as I have copied the program into my compiler, so now what I have to do, I have to save this program at the same location where I have put my abc.txt. So I will just go to save as, and I will go to the location that is C++ inside E drive, and I will just name that file as a file op.cpp. So whenever you are storing or you are saving your C++ program, you have to put a cpp extension. So my program is saved now. I'm going to debug and running the program. So if you see on the output screen, it has displayed the content which is present inside abc.txt. If you see, same content is present inside abc.txt. If you see the abc.txt, this is the file named abc.txt. This content will be displayed on the screen. Have a great day. So if you see the output, the same content is displayed here. So how this content is displayed? Our characters inside file are read each character one by one. Then after ending the content, what it has done, it has stopped the while loop and the file is closed here. So this is how we have completed the first question, and that is regarding file handling, and it was having to open the file and using the open function, and we have opened it inside using read and write mode. So this is how the first question is completed. Now the second question is write a C++ program which open a file in read and write mode and display the content on output screen using constructor. So if you see it is similar to the first question, and the difference is only in first question we have used open function, and in the second question we have to use a constructor here. So for constructor we have to use the class concept here, and we have to use a class here, and we have to do that coding inside a class. Then we can use a constructor here. In the previous question we didn't need any class because we can directly use open function using the upstream class object. So this is how the structure will be. So first we will create a class. Inside that class we will create a constructor. Then using that constructor we will read and using open a file using read and write mode, and using some coding we will display the content on the output screen, and finally inside main function we will call that object of the class we have created, and we will call respective constructor and methods. So this is how the coding structure will be. So let us move to the coding part. So initially we have to include the header file. So first header file is fstream.h. So as we are doing the file handling operations, we need fstream.h to use the file handling classes. So this is the first header file. Then second I am using conio.h as we are doing some get ch or other functions. So console input output functions will be provided using this second header file. So next, as the question is given, we have to use the constructor, and the constructor is always inside a class. So for that purpose we need to create a class. So I am creating class file operation. So this is my class name. Then inside private section I am creating object of fstream class, that is file stream. So as we have seen in the previous question, we need object of fstream class to open a file or do some file operations. So for that purpose this object is created. Then second I am creating character array, that is file name. So as we are using a constructor here, and for constructor we will be passing our file name from main function. So for that purpose I am creating a member variable as file name for this class. So this is the character array, or you can say it is a string. Then inside a public section I am creating constructor of the class, that is file operation, and inside parameter bracket I am passing character pointer. So character pointer will be representing my string. So this is the string value, and that string value will be used to accept the file name from main function. So whatever the main function is passing as a parameter, that will be taken inside this name as a string, and that name will be stored inside file name. So this is how my file name will be accepted. So I am just using strcpy. So this is the string copy function, and what it will do, it will store the value from name to file name. So this is how my file name variable will be accepted here. Then after that what I am doing, file stream.open, that is the object of my fstream object, fstream class. Then I am opening, or I am using open function here. As we have seen in the previous question that first parameter is the file name. So this is the file name variable which I am passing as a first parameter, and second parameter is the mode. So as we have seen in the previous question, I am using read and write mode here. So iOS scope resolution in, then vertical bar iOS scope resolution out. So this is the combining of read and write mode. So I am opening this file in the read and write mode. So this is how the constructor is completed. Next, moving toward the second function, as we have to display the data onto the output screen. So for that purpose we need a function which is void display content. So inside that I am using the same coding which we have seen in the previous question, that is char a. So this is the character variable which I am taking for storing each character from file to program. So again I am using the same method, that is I am using a while loop, and inside while loop I am passing upstream object, that is file stream. So this will return true till the file is having some data, and as soon as the data is ended it will return false and while loop will close. So inside while loop what I am doing, I am using a get function similar to the previous question, and that get function will be storing data inside character A. So the get function will read the data from file each character by character, and that data will be stored inside variable A, and after that I am just using cout to display that A character onto output screen. So what it will do, it will read each character from file and it will display the character onto output screen, and this process is repeated until the file is having some content. So this is how the while loop will print the entire data, and finally the while loop is closed and the function is also closed. So as we have seen in the previous question that finally or at the end of the program we have to close the file, otherwise that file will remain open and other programs cannot access that file. So for that purpose we have to close the file inside a function, and that function is I am creating as a destructor. So the destructor will be called whenever any object of the class is not accessed or no reference to the object is present. So this is how the destructor will call at the end of the program, and inside the destructor what I am doing, I am just printing upstream.close. So this is the file closing coding. So I am closing this file using destructor, and that will be done automatically at the end of the program. So I don't have to call this destructor. So the destructor is closed here and the class is also completed. Now moving toward the main function. So inside main what I am doing, I am creating one object of this class, the class which I have created. So the file operation is the class name space, obj is the object name, and as our constructor is taking single parameter having string value, so I am passing a string value in double quotes, and this string value is file name. So abc.txt is the file name that I am passing inside my constructor. So what it will do, it will copy this abc.txt name inside this name variable as a parameter using call by value method, and from this name this will be copied into file name. So this is how my file name will be accepted here as a abc.txt, and it will open in read and write mode using this constructor coding. So the file is opened here. Next we have to display the content on the output screen. So for that purpose we have defined a function. So I am just calling that function using my object, that is obj.displayContent. So this function will run this coding and display the entire content of file into output screen. So finally the content is displayed here. So the program coding is completed. So finally putting get.ch and return 0. So here after this line automatically destructor will be called because the object is not used after this line. So automatically the destructor will run and it will close the file. So we don't have to manually close the file. So this is how the coding will be. So I am just selecting entire code, copying it into my compiler as a new file, pasting it here. Then as we have seen in the previous question that we have to save this file at the location where content file or abc.txt is present, otherwise we cannot see the output. For that purpose I am saving this file as file operation 2 or file operation 3.cpp. So the file is saved there where my abc.txt is present. So now I can run this file. So I am going to debug and running the file. So if you see, the same content is visible which is inside abc.txt which we have seen in the previous question. So this is the file name .abc.txt. Then this content will be displayed on the screen. Have a great day. So this is the content inside abc.txt which we have seen in the previous question. So I have used the same file as an input and I have displayed its content. So this is how we can use a constructor to open a file, then we can read each character one by one and display that characters on the output screen using cout and while loop. And this is how the question number 2 is also completed. Now moving toward the next question, which is under practical related questions. That is first question of practical related questions. Write a C++ program to read and display files content. So this question is similar to the previous two questions. We just have to read the content from the file and display that content onto output screen. So it is not mentioned here that we have to use a read and write mode or any other mode. So we will be directly using the read mode here, and for that purpose we will be using a different class here. In the previous two questions we have used upstream class to create an object, but here we will use a different object. So the structure of the program will be similar. We will be reading the file, then we will read each character one by one and display that character onto output screen, and finally close that file. So moving toward the code directly. So initially, as we have seen in the previous two questions, that we have to use the upstream.h header file to use file handling classes. So I am including that. Then for console input output I am using conio.h. Then moving toward the main function directly. So inside main I am taking a character variable which we have used in the previous two questions to store each character one by one into this variable. So this is the character variable that will be storing those characters one by one. Then here I am creating a different class object. In the previous two questions we have used upstream class object, and using that object we are able to open that file in the read and write mode. But here I am using upstream class. So what is upstream? It is an input file stream class. So it is specifically designed for input operation only or read operation only. So here I don't have to specify the mode because this class is representing the read mode only. So upstream will be opening that file into read mode directly. So I don't have to put mode inside my open function. So I am first creating the object, that is fin. This is the object name. So using this object I am calling the open function, that is fin.open, and inside that I am just passing string variable as a file name. So abc.txt is the file name, and I am enclosing it inside double quotes. That means it is a string variable, and I don't have to mention the mode here because I am using upstream class object and it will be opening for read mode only. So this file will be opened for read mode here. Then using the character A, what I am doing, I am accepting all the characters one by one inside that file, and that A variable will be printed here. So again I am using the same loop which we have seen in the previous two questions, that is while, then object of the class, that is fin, and this object will continue to return true until the file is having some characters, and as soon as the file characters ended it will return false and while loop will end. So inside while loop again I am using the same method, that is get function fin.get, and inside bracket I am passing the character variable which is A. Then using the cout I am printing that character. So the same function or same method is used here which we have seen in the previous questions. Just the difference is I have used a different class here for reading file, that is upstream class, and this character C is not used anywhere, so I am just deleting it. So the A will be printing all the characters one by one inside the while loop, and after ending all the characters inside file the while loop will end, and finally we will move to the close function, that is fin.close. So the file will be closed here, and finally get ch is there to hold the output screen and display the output. So I am just selecting entire code, copying it, moving toward the compiler, pasting the code here, and as we have seen in the previous two questions, I have to save this file at the same location where my abc.txt is present. For that purpose I am going to file, then save as, then going to the location C++. So I am just putting it name read.cpp. So the file is saved at the same location where my abc.txt is present. Now I am running the file. So if you see, the same content is visible here which is present inside our abc.txt, and the same content we have seen in the previous two questions also, because we have not changed abc.txt file. We are using same abc.txt for all the three questions. So this is how you can read the content from the file and display that content on the output screen using a different class which is if stream class, that is input file stream class, and that is used for reading file only. So this is how this question is completed. Now the second question of practical related questions is write a C++ program to list files in current directory. So what we have to do in this program, we have to display the list of files which are present inside current directory of your system. So whenever you will run this program, the directory in which the program is saved, that directory will be read by the program and its files name will be displayed on the output screen. So this is how the program output will be. So we have to list all the files which are present in the directory of the system. So let us move to the coding part. So initially I am including the fstream.h, that is the file handling related classes and structure will be present inside this fstream.h header file. Then for console input output operations I am including conio.h header file. Then the third header file I am using is dirent, that is directory entry.h. This header file is important for this program because we are dealing with directories here and content of the directory. So all the structures and classes which are present or which are required for this operation will be present inside this dirent.h. So this is how three header files are included. Then I am moving toward the main function. So inside void main, first I am clearing the output screen, then I am creating dir space star dir. So this is a structure type which is present inside this header file, and this will provide a directory pointer. So as we are dealing with the directories here and we have to open a current directory, for that purpose we need this pointer here. So this is the first pointer we are creating for handling directory. Then second I am creating struct dirent space star en. So this is the second structure I am using, and I am creating pointer of the structure to store entries inside this directory. So what are the entries inside directory? The entries are all the files which are present inside directory. So one structure is representing a directory and second structure will be representing files which are present inside that directory. So this is how two structure objects or two structure pointers are created. Then I am creating dir is equal to open dir. Open dir function is used to open the directory which will be passed inside this parameter, and as the question is given, we have to open a current directory. So for that purpose we have to pass here dot inside double quotes. So what is the dot? Dot will represent the current working directory in which the file is stored. So it will open this directory and that will be stored into dir pointer. So dir is representing directory now which we have opened. So next, if condition is there, so if this directory is properly opened, if the successful open operation is done here, so what will happen, this if condition will return true and we will go inside this if coding. Otherwise, if the directory is not properly opened, it will return false and we will go to getch directory. So this is how the if condition is working. If the successful opening of the directory is happened, we will go inside if, otherwise we will move out of the program. So next, inside if I am creating en is equal to read dir. So again this function is present inside this header file, and inside read dir I am passing parameter as a dir which is my directory. So what it will do, it will read one file from the dir, that is directory, and that will be stored into n. So what is n? En is entry. So one file is read from the directory and that will be stored into en. So next I am doing a loop. So while en is not equal to null, so when a file is present inside directory, it will return that file and stored into en, and if the file is not present, then el will be null. So that's why this while condition is taken, because I want to read all the files which are present inside the directory, and those files will be read one by one using en. So that's why I'm putting condition as en is not equal to null. That means if the files are present inside the directory, en will be not null and while loop will continue, and as soon as the files are ended or the all the files are read using en, it will return null and we will move outside the while loop and all the files will be displayed. So inside while loop, what I am doing, I am just using cout to display /n. So /n will be moving my cursor to next line, and I am attaching en arrow d underscore name. So this is the variable which is present inside this dir ent structure, and that variable will be storing file name. So en arrow d underscore name will be displaying the file name which is stored inside en. So this is how my file name will be displayed here using cout, and after that I want to read next file. So that's why I am using en is equal to read dir again. So what it will do, it will read the next file name inside the directory, and similarly it will read all the files one by one, and finally all the files will be read and en will return null and we will go out of the while loop. So this is how inside loop our all the file will be displayed. So finally all the files are read here. So I am moving toward the next function, that is close dir. As we have opened our directory in the dir, this statement, so finally we have to close the directory using this function, that is close dir, and we have to pass the dir pointer which we have opened here. So finally the directory is closed here and the coding part is complete here. If condition is closed here, coding is done, and getch is there to hold the output screen, and the program has ended. So I am just selecting entire code, copying it and pasting into my compiler. So now if I run this program, what will happen? The directory where this program will be saved, inside the directory whatever the files are present, those files will be listed in front of the user. So I am running this program. So if you see, these are the files which are present inside compiler directory, because I have not saved this file to my folder. So what it is displaying, it is displaying all the files which are present inside my compiler directory, because this program is saved temporarily. This is how the output will be. So now what I am doing, I will close this output window and I will save this file to my directory. So I am going to save as, and I am changing the directory of the file to C++, where we have saved previous questions of this file handling. So I am just giving it name readdir1.cpp. So this file will be saved there, and if you run this program now, what it will display? It will display the files which are present inside that directory only. If you see, the output content is showing less files now, because we have changed the location of the file. So this is how what this program is doing. It is reading the current directory where the program is saved, then from the directory it is reading each file one by one, and using while loop it is displaying all the files on the output screen. So this is how this program is ended. And also practical number 23 is also ended, which was regarding file handling operations like read operation. So what we have done, we have used open function as well as constructor to read the content of the file, and we have displayed that content on the output screen using while loop and some methods. So the practical is complete here. So that's it for today's practical. I hope this helped you understand the solution clearly. Code for this practical is available at the link given in the description. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more such diploma level programming solutions. If you have any doubts or need solutions for other programs, drop a comment below. I will be happy to help. And hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching and happy coding.